Alright, so welcome back. So I hope you were able to play around and explore different ways of how we can possibly work with our paint component. And at this point, I just like to show you my progress just so you get an idea of how you can possibly do it. And as I mentioned, we won't really need anything connected to our properties down here. And what I just did was to create a surface info node and a Musgrave texture, which I then combined using this image stack node. Now I pushed the values that I was getting by using this Blender brightness contrast node, which I then connected to this property array factor, and that gave me this paint flaking effect. Alright, now I also did turn down this bump factor to 0.08 so I could get some of our bump details from our other components to show through. And I also played around with some of our rust values just so I could get as much rust as I can to show. Now I also did go ahead and work on our dirt component, and I did that by creating a direction info node, which is another kind of data map, and combining it with a surface info node using another image stack. Now, in case you're wondering, this direction info node is designed to work with our world normals map. Now I also added a black areas component so I could darken these holes, but now I'm getting this darkening effect in areas where I don't want it to. So in this lesson, we are going to be talking about how we can use Blender's texture painting capability in conjunction with Texture Pabrika. Now we would want to remove some of the blackening that's happening over here and some of the blackening that's happening over here as well, and here as well. All right. But before we jump to that, let me just point out that the features we are going to talk about are not features that are exclusive to Texture Pabrika, but are features that are already included inside of Blender. Now, having said that, we are not going to talk about all the aspects of texture painting. Our goal here is just to give you an understanding of how to use texture painting comfortably in conjunction with Texture Pabrika. Alright? So the first thing that we would need to do would be to create an image texture node. Alright, now we are going to connect, or we are going to combine this surface info node with this image texture, and we are going to do that using another image stack node. So let's create an image stack node for 2, and then let's move it down here. Alright, now we are going to connect the AO output of our surface info node to our input 1 in our image stack. And we are going to connect the output image into our property array factor. Now we are going to connect the output color of our image texture into our input 0 factor. And then we are going to need a texture map. So let's click on new, and then let's give it a name. So let's call it black areas texture. I forgot to mention that during the first time we create a texture, we need to save it to an external location before Blender can pack it into our blend file. As you can see over here, we are in our UV editor, and we are going to save our image by heading over to Image, Save As, and now any change that we are going to do should now be automatically packed into our blend file. Alright, now we can start texture painting. So let's head over to our texture painting mode, and then let's click on this tool tab, and then we are going to switch over mode to single image. Now we are going to select black areas texture. All right, Now, to start texture painting, you need to set which mesh you want to be active. And to do that, hover your mouse over the mesh and then press Alt Q on your keyboard. All right. Now, now you need to remember that since we are connected to the input zero factor, black means that we are going to be using the input on the bottom, and white means that we are going to be using the input on the top, which is going to be black. And that is what we want. All right. Let's press Control G again, or sorry, Alt Q again. So obviously you can use texture painting in a number of different ways. We just use it to control an input factor, but you can use it to control virtually any property that you want. All right, now in the next lesson, we are going to talk about another way that we can map an image into our object.